Today on this special edition of Mustang Magazine, we explore all the interesting hobbies students at NHS are involved in. We're taking pictures with a freshman photographer, we solve the Rubik's Cube in record time, fix up some cars in Hollywood's garage, and we catch up with a musician known for his speed metal guitar skills. These stories and more on this special edition of Mustang Magazine.
Hello and welcome to this special edition of Mustang Magazine. I'm Audrey Scafati.
And I'm Matt Shalmo. Mustang Magazine is a show produced by advanced broadcast journalism students from Norwood High School. We usually edit show, but for today we're taping this live in the NHS-TV studios.
So that means we can't mess up. On today's special edition, we're focusing on interesting student hobbies. So let's get started.
Digital photography is a popular pastime for a lot of people, and with the technology of a DSLR camera, more and more people are producing high-quality images.
Last spring, class of 2020 reporters Gianna Veely and Sahudi Adhikari caught up with an NHS photographer who's using her camera to capture amazing images.
NHS freshman Adeline Jeanette is capturing moments through her digital photography.
Photography is basically the way that I show the world what I see through my eyes, and I show people my perspective on different things through my pictures.
Jeanette began capturing images back in Lebanon with little knowledge of the process. She says taking pictures in a different country gave her a purpose and pushed her to learn.
And that sort of opened my eyes to different things in the world, because I had seen a different side to the world.
And using just her smartphone, she started to build a portfolio.
So I'll tell you a little bit. Like I didn't start off with a big professional camera. I actually started off with my iPhone. And actually, even before that, I had a Samsung phone.
And while she has upgraded her camera recently, she's still shooting her favorite scenery.
My favorite type of pictures to take are the ones of like sunsets and stuff. I think that's sort of because some of the very first pictures that I really fell in love with were sunsets on the Mediterranean Sea.
Jeanette has started branching out, trying to capture more than just landscapes and nature.
I also like portraits. Portraits are pretty cool, and showing people like how beautiful they are, and just exposing that true beauty is really cool. It's nice.
And she says a portrait image has a lot to do with the eyes of her subject.
Eyes are sort of my weakness. I love eyes. The eyes are the window to the soul. And I feel like if you look in someone's eyes, you see a lot about them.
And with her pictures, Jeanette says she's trying to express human emotions.
It's sort of how I express myself, really. If I can show someone a feeling, or if I can show someone an image and take them somewhere that they can't go, it's how I express myself, really.
Recent subject, freshman Audrey Scafati says working with Jeanette was an amazing experience.
I'm excited to be a part of it. Like, I think she has a really pure talent, like really awesome gift for taking pictures. She has a beautiful view on the world, and I think that her pictures really show how she sees the world, which I find really cool and powerful behind a photographer.
I can deal with the saturation here and make that brighter, and then I can lower the brightness on your face and higher the highlights, which would make you look a little more tan.
Yes.
In the end, Jeanette says she hopes her images bring people together.
I think photography is a beautiful way to show people the world even when they can't see it, and show people the different sides. Like, yes, there's war, yes, there's fighting and inequality, but we need to show people the world even though it's big. Try and make it small that way.
To see more of Adeline's photography, check out her latest work on Instagram at Photography by Adeline. Reporting for Mustang Magazine, I'm Sahudi Adhikari.
Thanks, girls. I had a lot of fun at my photo shoot with Adeline. Best of luck to her in her photography career.
Now let's go back a few years for a story on a student with passion for airsoft.
Jeremy Bell from the class of 2015 was preparing for a military career. Here he is in his own words with reporting by Joe Mazzata.
Particularly, I've been airsofting for 3.5 years. The first ever airsoft gun I bought was a 1911. It's a clear little piece of crap. It's 25 bucks, bought it at a sports shop. Mess around with it, and I started figuring out basically that you were allowed to shoot other people in games and everything else, and that's where I started. My first game was in 2012. That's when I started first. I mostly go to at my job, Extreme Action, or I'll go to UGB, which is down at the Cape, and it's near Buzzards Bay. It's an outdoor field. UGB is a place with sand, and there's the woods. You can go in different areas. You can fight in different areas. You can use smoke grenades there. You can use grenades there. You can use grenade launchers.
Go, gotcha.
Mostly, if I have strategies by people, I have a walkie-talkie, I'll strategically tell them like I'm gonna go in like the 2-story building at UGB, and I'll be sitting there with a sniper scope watching people like run by, and I'll try to quickly eliminate them as much as I can while watching other points so that I don't get my teammates killed by accident. Because if I miss one guy, it's basically all over.
Hey, they're flanking, they're flanking. Hey, you're hit, you're all hit. Guy there. Hey, they're flanking!
It's just like the basic strategic military training, and it's basically just the adrenaline you get when you're running and getting shot at, and you can hear the bullets going past you back and forth, hitting the wood that you're hiding behind. You can hear people screaming and yelling where the people are. It basically feels like you're basically in an actual war, except you're just not using live rounds.
I'm gonna be coming down that pass. I made some suppressive fire behind me, because I don't know if there's anyone on my 6.
My least favorite airsoft thing is when people don't call their hits. You just shoot someone multiple times and they don't do anything about it. They'll just stand there and they'll continue to shoot you, but you shoot them and they don't do anything about it.
I saw that bounce off his chest. You can at least call that one, bud.
It's preparing me for military training because I plan on going to the Marines when I'm older. So it's basically like, because some Marines, and they train you with airsoft rifles, they train you with gas ones because they look realistic and they sound realistic and they have realistic features like the bullet going back and forth, the kickback and the recoil. Nice. So it basically just feels like you're going head to head against like an enemy that you're going against in Afghanistan or something like that.
He's crawling, they're low, I can get him, I think. There's two down low. I gotta reload them dry.
Thanks, Joe. We're happy to report that Jeremy has turned his love for airsoft into a career, managing the ultimate battleground in Bourne.
Next up, class of 2019 reporters Jake Smelster and John Williams visited Hollywood's Garage for some tips on fixing up cars.
Here's that story now, featuring NHS Junior Anthony DeAngelis.
NHS Junior Anthony DeAngelis says playing around with car parts is his go-to hobby.
It's a quiet place. It's where I'm happiest. So I work on my cars whenever I'm stressed, whenever I'm bored, happy, sad, whatever. It's get in the car, go for a ride, get in the car, work on it. It's whatever I can do in whatever time I have. I typically spend it working on that Miata.
DeAngelis says his favorite car to work on is his 1990 Mazda Miata.
It'll be 8, 9 o'clock at night, and I'll throw a flashlight on and I'll go out and tune up the Miata a little bit, do a little bit to it, clean it up a little bit, anything that I can do. Just, it's an escape for me. It's a quiet place. It's where I'm happiest.
DeAngelis first purchased the Miata 3 years ago. At the time, it wasn't even in working condition.
When I first bought it, it needed a new clutch, it needed an exhaust, it needed brakes, suspension. The motor was a little bit seized up on it. It turned, but it wouldn't start. So I ran through it. I put new brakes, rotors, pads, put a new suspension on it, just a stock, not lowered or anything, no coilovers like that. I custom built an exhaust for it to make it sound just a little better. I put new spark plugs on it. I put new oil in it. I flushed every single system in the car.
DeAngelis didn't randomly stumble into fixing cars. It's part of a family tradition.
So my grandfather, my father, and I were all huge car guys. So like, it basically runs in my blood.
And through the years, DeAngelis has entered the cars that he works on with his father into several shows.
Car shows are a huge part of it. Car shows are a lot of fun. You know, you walk around, take pictures, you meet new people. It's great, you know.
DeAngelis also uses social media to show off what he's working on.
So I do have an Instagram. It's called Hollywood's Garage, Hollywoods.garage. It's just a bunch of pictures of the Miata and the Corvette right now, but like I'm trying to like find some time to like make it like somewhat official, somewhat decent, you know, talk about the new releases, talk about working on cars. I'm going to try to start making some videos about doing the projects that I do and just some educational stuff to show some guys how to work on cars.
So keep an eye out for DeAngelis and his Miata cruising through town, or stop by his garage for some tips on fixing up your ride.
My name's Hollywood, and this is Hollywood's Garage.
Reporting from Mustang Magazine, I'm John Williams.
Thanks, guys. It takes a lot of skill and know-how to work on cars.
Next up, we have another student with some outstanding skills. She's using mathematical algorithms to solve a Rubik's Cube in the quickest way possible.
Last year, NHS reporters Sada McLeod and Bella Barkovich met up with sophomore Julie Salvaggio to see her in action.
The Rubik's Cube was made to be a challenge, but Julie Salvaggio has figured it out and she does it really fast.
On average, I would say 30 seconds. It's definitely under a minute.
Salvaggio picked up the three-dimensional moving puzzle one day when she was in the 6th grade. A few hours later, she had solved it.
The Rubik's Cube is, it's a cube with a bunch of different little cubies, they call them, and they move in different ways to make it complicated.
As she got more experience, she began to figure out ways to solve it even faster.
There's a method that you would solve it. You use algorithms and you'd have to memorize all the algorithms. But I don't think of it as math. I just think of it as a thing that I need to solve to finish a certain part, and then I have to memorize all the algorithms.
The Rubik's Cube was invented in 1974 by the Hungarian sculptor and professor architecture Erno Rubik. Originally called the Magic Cube, it was licensed to be sold back in 1980. Since then, more than 350 million have been sold, making it the world's top-selling puzzle game.
There are different types of cubes. This is a 3x3x3 technically. Most people just call it a 3x3. And there's like 4x4s, 5x5, 6x6. I think it goes up to like a lot. I don't know. I've seen a 17x17, but it's like massive. Like you couldn't hold it.
These days, Salvaggio is always up for the Rubik's Cube challenge, and she enjoys racing the clock to see how fast she can go.
Ready?
Yeah.
Set?
Yeah.
Go.
So dust off your parents' old Rubik's Cube and give it a go. Who knows, with a little practice, you can get as fast as Julie. Reporting from Mustang Magazine, I'm Sud McLeod.
Done.
Now we're going to send it over to Will Levesque, who is monitoring the first ever battle of cubes between Julie Salvaggio and her classmate Connor Sheehan.
Thanks, Matt, and I'm here for the Cube Off. My competitors here today are Connor Sheehan and Julie Salvaggio. The first person to solve the Rubik's Cube wins. Now let's not waste any time. Ready, set, cube. Connor seems to be getting frustrated with the cube, while Julie is very close to being finished. Julie fumbles with the cube. And we have a winner. Julie Salvaggio wins the first ever Cube Off here on Mustang Magazine. Now back to the desk.
That was some fierce competition. Julie is truly gifted with the Rubik's Cube.
Here at NHS, we also have a lot of musically gifted students. Class of 2016 musician Jerry Watunsky shows us some of his skills in the next report from fellow classmates Sadie Kroll and Danny Sullivan.
At first glance, Jerry Watunsky seems like your typical heavy metal kid.
I'm a huge metal head, but I like a lot of classical music and jazz.
Probably not what you were expecting to hear. In fact, Jerry listens to much more than just metal.
I listen a lot to like old school, like hardcore rap.
And he even loves Taylor Swift.
I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan. Everybody's like, but you're a metalhead. I'm like, yeah, well, good music's good music.
It's actually this diverse music taste that has led Jerry to transform as a musician.
I'm starting to study more jazz chords and music. Previously, I was in a lot of metal bands, and I love playing metal, but there are certain things I wanted to do as a musician where I felt more like myself.
His self-expression has often led people to think he's something he's not.
I used to wear a bunch of like death metal t-shirts that had like Morbid Angel and like death or just anything obscura. Everybody was like, oh, he's a Satanist, and you know, he doesn't like anybody, and he's just an evil person. He probably does spells, but really, like, I'm in love with flowers.
Go figure. The metal kid loves flowers. Stereotypes aside, Jerry feels music creates an emotional connection no matter what the genre.
It brings out a lot of different emotions that people like to keep hidden, like love, hatred, all that stuff. I just want people to be able to connect with me and know that they're not alone in certain things.
Jerry may be known as the metalhead, but he is much more than that. He's a musician with a passion for music and a desire to connect with others. Whether it be through heavy metal or classical, to Jerry, music is music. For Mustang Magazine, I'm Sadie Krall.
Thanks, guys.
People sacrifice a lot to do the things they love. In this next story, we meet a student who sacrifices the palm of her hands in order to pursue her favorite activity. Here's class of 2017 reporters Juliana Shalmo and Brendan Hurley with the story.
Gymnasts train for hours every day, and injuries are only part of the routine.
The friction from the bar heats up your hands and you get a rip. And it like when you go around the bar, the skin rips like up, it peels off.
And when too much skin rips off, expect some blood.
If it's bleeding a lot, then we have to put tape on it, but that's just to stop the bleeding. That's why sometimes if you look at the bars, they're stained red.
I have the girls put Neosporin on it, a Band-Aid, tape it, and put them back on the bars.
Gymnasts can't prevent rips altogether, though there is one thing that can help.
The chalk helps the girls' hands freely rotate around the bars. If they're getting stuck, they're going to rip more. So chalk makes it's like a lubricant as they're going around the bar so they don't get stuck.
It's white, fluffy. It's not like a sidewalk chalk. It's fluffier and heavier.
To some gymnasts, having rips on their hands are a sign of dedication.
Well, I always liked getting rips because my coaches always told me it meant you were working hard, whether it's huge or just a little baby rip. This is constant, depending on how big it is. Small ones could be day, 2 days. Big ones, it could take months.
While rips look and feel painful, they do have some benefits.
And under it builds stronger skin, so they get more and more painful and thicker the more they rip.
Even with rips, these gymnasts never really stop swinging on the bars. Reporting for Mustang Magazine, I'm Juliana Shalmo.
I cannot imagine being a gymnast. That looks like it hurts a lot.
Now for our last story of the show, we catch up with a former student who's taking his yo-yo talents to another level. Class of 2016, Pat Harkins and Bobby Shakeup report.
Alex Pipes is an 11th grade student at Norwood High School who has an unusual hobby.
I started yo-yoing in the summer going into 8th grade. I originally started yo-yoing when I went to my grandparents' house in Minnesota. We went to a zoo and there was a guy there by the name of Dazzling Dave. He's one of the top American yo-yoers in the world. He showed me some of the tricks that he could do, and that got me started right off the bat.
Alex uses an unconventional way to learn new tricks.
I originally learned to yo-yo on YouTube, and then I found other websites where it was more of like a step-by-step process. There's a website called yoyoexpert.com, and it's perfect for anyone who wants to get started or any people who are already started.
Alex is able to do a wide variety of tricks, but does have a few favorites.
So my favorite tricks are like around the legs, or just ones that are easy but look really cool.
Although Alex considers himself an avid yo-yoer, he still feels there's room for improvement.
And there are so many more tricks that I can learn that I haven't even gotten started with.
Although yo-yoing is an entertaining activity to Alex, it does have its struggles.
Definitely the hardest part about yo-yoing is untying the knots after messing up tricks.
When people think of yo-yoing, they usually think of the simple up and down tricks, but Alex takes it to a new level. Unfortunately, Alex doesn't really get the opportunity to show the world his raw talents unless it's around his family or friends.
I like to do it at events, like family events and things, so I can inspire other people the same way I was inspired.
Reporting for Mustang Magazine, I'm Patrick Harkins.
Well, that's all we have for today. Thanks for watching. For other special editions, check us out on Mustang.media and hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat.
Signing off for this episode of Mustang Magazine, I'm Audrey Scafati.
And I'm Matt Shalmo.
Here he is in his own words with reporting by Joe Mazzata.
Just keep going.
Thanks, Joe.
And we have a winner.
Class of 2016, Jerry Watansky shows us some of his skills in this next report from fellow classmates Sadie Kroll and Danny Sullivan. I cannot imagine being a gymnast.
That looks like
That's my
hurts
line.
a lot.
That's my line.
Signing off for this episode of Mustang Magazine, I'm Audrey Scafati.
And I'm Matt Shalmo.